7-6 winner over Rutgers on Senior Day. That's Nate Bauer and Sean Fitz. I'm Greg Pickle from Blue White Illustrated. Sean, let's get into it. We saw Beau Pribula play, and it was not just the Beau Pribula package. It was the Drew Allar's hurt, Beau has to play package.
Yeah, they had to put him in there in the second half, and it really opened up the running game, as kind of we've been talking about all season. Just the threat of having a quarterback run the ball changes everything completely. Opened up some things for Katron Allen, opened up some things from Nick Singleton, of course, actually opened up some things for Beau Pribula at a 39-yard run on his first carry. So Penn State doing what they had to do, similar to Michigan last week. Penn State did not have to throw in the second half. They pretty much chose not to. They did get a completion there to Tyler Warren, but Penn State got this one across the line, and that's pretty much as expected.
Nate, I think you picked up some things in the postgame about Beau Pribula's abilities. You want to talk about those?
Sure. It turns out he can pass. Confirmed by teammates, yes, that Beau can pass. Look, the more fun conversation to me, and we probably don't have time for this, but is, all right, if you know that Beau's presence on the field changes how defenses come at you, right? How it helps the running backs, okay? What it does to those dynamics, I think the question is begged, why not do that more this season, not when your backs are against the wall because you have to, but by choice, right? Just given the situation for Penn State this season, it always seemed to me as though this was a team offensively that things looked hard, right? And it needed two things to change that. It needed Drew Allar and his receivers to complete deep passes, right? That was on the table this season. Didn't ever really happen, right? It wasn't something that happened. And the second part that Drew did, and James Franklin mentioned after the game, is continuing to progress Drew as a runner, but have a quarterback that can run the ball, because you need to be able to show that threat. Not for Drew to run for 100 yards, but just to do it occasionally. All right. That didn't really happen either. And so at some point, the conversation needed to be had, or at least expressed, hey, Beau Pribula gives you something that is desperately needed for not just Drew and the receivers, but for the running backs. For the running backs to be able to be at their best. That was something that was missing from Penn State's offense this season. And I'm super interested to see what happens with Drew Allar this week, going to Michigan State next week. I get it. Ohio State, Michigan are different animals. Like, absolutely fine. But in terms of the way that the offense operates, Beau came in and they scored points on 3 of the 4 possessions, and the 4th that they didn't score on, they should have.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Yes, it is. Drew Allar, James Franklin saying about Drew Allar after the game that he does not think this injury could be significant, but he said we'll have to wait and see. So time will tell. He didn't come back into this contest. I'll just let you answer, Nate, if you have any response to that.
No, he's right. I mean, you really you did it. You did it. You take away so much of what you're trying to do when you try to square or shove that square peg in the round hole, and when you don't have the weapons to do it on the outside, it's just magnified by that. And what did I do wrong?
No, it could have helped that. Like, it could have helped the receivers. It could have helped Drew to have had that at time. I'm not saying make Beau the starter. I'm not saying that Drew's not the guy. He is the guy, and that's what you need, not just for this year, but for long term. All of that stuff is, like, let me be expressly clear about this. But for the receivers to be more successful, for Drew to be more successful, a dynamic, varied, multiple rushing attack was what this team needed, and it didn't happen because teams could key in. They knew, okay, well, if it's a run, Nick or Katron are the people that are going to get the ball. That's it. That's the only way for them to pick up yards on the ground. So I do think, like, that's the most fascinating. That's where the meat is of the whole meddling conversation. All of that stuff is way off point. This one is like, that should have been considered given the limitations that they have in personnel on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they did bring Beau Pribula in. I believe it was the first quarter, and they said that James Franklin saying the plan was to play them both. How much that was going to be the case, I don't know. But clearly, I think to Nate's point, what are we going to see next week? I think we're going to see more of this.
You look so excited. You're like a little demon.
I am. Because again, right, the plan, what's the difference between this week and last week? The offensive coordinator's not there. And so what did the offensive coordinator want previously? Not to use Beau. Like, I'm projecting a little bit here, but it seems like there's some signals being sent in terms of what they actually wanted to do offensively this season that was inhibited for one way or the other. I get it. The head coach is the one that makes the final call on a lot of these things, but if the offensive coordinator wasn't on board with using Beau in that fashion, and they decided this week that they were going to use Beau that way before the end of the game, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, very much. Sean, final thoughts?
I'm really enjoying this post game. I'm just kind of sitting back here. I should be in a recliner just watching.
You and me both.
Hey, Penn State's defense gave up not many points.
Six
points.
76 yards after halftime.
Yes. Penn State's defense, very good. Chop Robinson is awesome.
Yes.
He changes everything for everyone around him, and he was obviously very missed the last couple of weeks when he was not in there. He's awesome. KJ Winston got a pick. Just came together really well because they gave up, 71 yards in the first drive, and then basically shut it down. Gavin Wimsatt hit a few passes, but other than that, 6 points, you're going to take that every day. So can't talk enough about how Penn State's defense continually put Penn State's offense in a position to meddle around, do some things. I used that word, didn't I? But do some things to work in with the framework of what their offense wants to be, which is multiply diverse running attack that helps when you have a quarterback that can do that. I think that when you look ahead to an offensive coordinator search, you're going to look for something that fits in with that. And you can shift your personnel a little bit, but I think that that's really where you're most comfortable, and that's where they won a lot of games.
Yeah, no doubt. Nate, final thoughts? You've given plenty, but what's your last one?
No, I'm mostly done. I thought that the defense struggled on third downs again today, which remains an interesting,
especially the third and long ones. Yeah,
it's just a to me, it's a bug in the system, right? It's that this is how. I don't know if it's a blind spot. I think it's just a vulnerability that you almost have to have. Maybe I don't know. You would think that Manny Diaz that they would be able to learn and adjust to their vulnerabilities, specifically in terms of third and long on the run. Right, the run is what has burned them in most of these.
3 times in the last 4 weeks. That's been an issue. Started with Indiana. They saw that on tape. Penn State's defensive ends get up the field really well. Sometimes too well, and they get crossed back, and of course Michigan did that really well. Maryland did it today with the quarterback run, but pretty much after the first drive, that one was really snuffed out. They made some adjustments there and did a very good job. Also, Alex Felkins, really good. Riley Thompson, really good. Penn State hit on that in the portal. I know they didn't hit on everything in the portal this offseason, but we have to talk about those guys because they were excellent once again today.
Yeah, very much so. One thing on Felkins, I know there were some questions about that. He said he is out of eligibility after this year, so he's done. So Penn State will be in the market for a new kicker. I think we're in the market to go, right, fellas? Everyone good? So we'll see everyone at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. It's $1 for 1 month of access. BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. We will catch you next week.